Okay, now we talk about how to back up your PlayStation 1 games using a Mac computer to use them for emulators, PSP, or whatever you want to use them for. Backing up PlayStation 1 games on a Mac is much more complicated than it is on Windows, and honestly, I don't know if a single video exists on YouTube that tells you how to do this on a Mac computer. And this works for both Apple Silicon Macs and Intel-based Macs, but there is one small difference between them that we will discuss later. So first, what we need to be able to do this is obviously have a CD DVD drive that can read our PlayStation 1 discs, and we need to have the games we want to back up. Okay, in order to do this, we have to install Homebrew to our Mac computer to get the access to cdrdao utility. And from the Homebrew link down in the description, you can read about it yourself more if you want to learn about it, and all of that can be found from the link down in the description. Basically, once we get it set up, we are going to do everything straight from the Mac terminal application. So this may scare some users right away, but it's not that bad honestly if you just follow my instructions here. So there are more than one way to install Homebrew, but for this tutorial, I recommend the package installer, which is super easy way to install Homebrew, and you can download it just like I do in the video. And I also have the GitHub page for the package installer in the description. Once you have downloaded it, we just go ahead and open the installer and go through the steps. Okay, we start the installer, and once we get to the installation part, we need to give our Mac password, and with that we are done. But now Homebrew gives us additional instructions, and here is where Apple Silicon and Intel Macs differ. So make sure you copy one of these commands that's correct for your Mac. Now, because I have an Apple Silicon Mac, I copy the upper one. Now, I would recommend copying these commands to somewhere where you can easily access them, because you need to re-enter this every time you close the terminal in order to access Homebrew in terminal. I will have all these commands also in the description, so you can use the description to copy commands, because we will have more commands coming up that are pretty much impossible to remember. So next, we copy the correct command here depending on your Mac, and we open the terminal. You can quickly open it by pressing Command plus spacebar to bring up the Spotlight search and just type in terminal and launch it. Now here in terminal, we will paste the command we just copied from Homebrew and press enter. Okay, now we have access to Homebrew, so we can install cdrdao by typing in brew install cdrdao and press enter and wait. Okay, once the install is done, we can start the backup process. So make sure at this point you have your CD DVD drive plugged into the computer and the game is inside it. Now your computer may launch iTunes or something once you do that, but just ignore those and close iTunes. And next, inside terminal, we can use command diskutil list to see our attached drives, and we need to figure out which disk is our CD DVD drive. And you can see in this example, my CD drive is disk 7, and keep in mind that for you it can be and most likely is something else than disk 7. But once you have figured out what disk it is for you, we must unmount this disk, otherwise cdrdao can't access it. So how we do that is next entering command diskutil unmountDisk and then entering the correct path for your specific disk. So in this example for me it is /dev/disk7. Then press enter to unmount the disk. We should get the message it was successfully unmounted. Now this next command will start the backup process, so you can copy it from the description of this video. Now once we press enter, our Mac starts backing up the CD and it will create files called output.bin and output.toc. Now we just have to wait for it to complete, but after that we will also convert the toc file to CUE file, which we can then use in emulators and wherever you want to use it. Once we are done, you can find these files by going to your main Mac drive, enter users, then choosing your username, and that's where you find both output files. Now we want to create a .cue file that PlayStation emulators, for example, use, and we can do that by entering this command to the terminal and press enter. And with that, you now have 3 files: output.bin, output.toc, and output.cue. I just delete the toc file because I don't need it, and move the output.bin and output.cue to where I want them. And then you can also rename them to whatever you want as long as both files have the exact same name. Just remember to move these files because otherwise they will be replaced once you back up another disk. And here you can see me renaming Resident Evil 2 Claire disk, which I also backed up to game ID name. But I could call it Claire or whatever I want, obviously, as long as both files have the same name. And guys, that is exactly how you can back up your PlayStation 1 discs on your Mac computer and use them in emulators or whatever use case you may have.